Hi, my name is Marcel Ruiz, and you are listening to a coming of age movie. Yes, sir.
Hi everyone, I'm McKenna.
And I'm Lily.
Welcome back to a coming of age movie and happy Main Character Monday.
Today we're speaking with a very special guest, award-winning 17-year-old actor Marcel Ruiz.
You may know him as Alex Alvarez from One Day at a Time or as John Smith from Breakthrough.
Marcel, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. A little like bored. So I'm glad I'm here.
Great. How
Just
was your week
because
in general?
good. I was in New York last month and I got back like 2 weeks ago. So I'm kind of like still getting used to being away from home for a while. And so
hmm
that's why it's felt a little weird and I'm just home and haven't gone out much and doing online school, which is after a while it feels like you can't tell time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're from LA, right? Or California?
Yeah, I live in LA. I moved here when I was like 8 years old. I
Oh
was born
wow.
in Puerto Rico.
So New York was probably really different, right? Especially because you were here when it was like kind of rainy.
Yeah, and wait, where are you guys from?
We're from the East Coast around New York.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I was there like right when after the snowstorm happened. I mean, right when it was coming in, and so I kind of saw like the 360 of the snow, and then like 2 weeks later it was 60 degrees.
Yeah, there you go, East Coast right
Yeah.
there.
That's pretty
Yeah,
much how
yeah,
you can sum up the weather.
yeah.
Exactly. So, in general, I know you've been doing online school, you just said, but how has quarantine been treating you? Because I feel like you're probably pretty used to being crazy busy all the time, like going from, filming to school to everything. So, how has it
Yeah,
been
yeah.
different?
Yeah, it was weird at first. It was really weird. Um, but I'm glad that I was able to talk with people around me, especially people my age. And with everything in general, but like, the first thing that I can relate to with my friends is of course how we all felt with school. Even though they were, in a like brick and mortar school that was transitioning to online, I I like the decision I made was okay, I'm gonna stay online in a school that usually is online because I feel like they know what they're doing, uh, just to stay, comfortable. But I think it was really good for me in the way that I had just so much free time to to work on just random ideas and projects that I'm always coming up with. And yeah, there were a lot of like new things that I learned about myself that I wouldn't have started if it wasn't for quarantine, I think.
Exactly. And I saw that like a lot of you're a senior, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like a lot of seniors, you applied to college and heard back. Do you know anything about your plans for next year that you can share with us?
Yeah, well, I got into my favorite college. I got into Columbia University,
Congrats,
and
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
thank
congrats.
you.
That's awesome.
So that was, I mean, that's like for me the best news I could get. Right now, it's just, I mean, and I think it's always kind of like this, but especially this year, everything can change in a matter of like 2 months. So it's really hard to like predict the future for me, like even 3 months ahead. But I mean, right now, if I go to college, I'm choosing to go in the New York area. I like a couple of schools in New York, and so yeah, I'm just making the decision, learning an info. But yeah, I like to study a little bit of what I think I do in the real world, which is the arts mixed with business.
Yeah,
So like if I can study some film and business, that'd be amazing.
yeah, we've heard that a lot actually of a lot of people in California coming to the East Coast for college. I guess there's like a lot of it's like college town type of thing. But we had a guest last week who is also from LA coming to either Boston or New York, and it's just so interesting to hear like so many people doing that.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. It's a
Got all the
fun
college
time.
towns and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, switching gears a little bit, you were 12 when you started One Day at a Time, and that means that you spent most of middle school and high school acting. So, how was your school different from an average kid's kind of high school or middle school experience?
My school was different in the way that I felt like I was like racing to catch up to everyone else. I would come into school after after filming for a while, and I would just see my grades, like a paper of all my grades, and it was just circles F F F F, like all of them every time I went into class after like filming a season, and it sucked because it was like I'm not at all an F student, but I had to like, it was just like a clutch moment where I just had to like for 3 months get those F's to like straight A's, and
Well,
so
you
that
got,
was
I
like,
mean, you got into Columbia, so you managed to do that somehow.
yeah, I think it was, the work was worth it. I think so, but yeah, it felt like kind of like a race in the way of school, and I mean I get it because I mean you're a kid, you have to balance school and these extracurriculars. It's like double the work, I think. While most people on set are in break, I'm going to the room to do school.
Hmm.
So it was mostly things like that. And the other thing I would say is that middle school felt like it went by like really, really fast.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. Um, so when you were on set, did you have set teachers to help you, or was it kind of like a do it your own kind of thing?
Yeah, I had set teachers to help me, and the cool thing about set teachers in a way is that, especially when you're younger, they can help you with school and everything, but they're also there just to make sure you're okay. If you need
Right.
anything, they're there to help you, and that's what I like about my relationship with my set teacher, which she's kind of like a grandma to me. Uh, so we're always like in contact. I go to her house and get in like the pool and hang out,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
yeah. Yeah, and that's I think the best thing because you want to feel comfortable if you're like in different environments, and me for like breakthrough I was traveling a lot as in a press tour and she was always there, so yeah, it's a lot of help.
Oh, that's really cool.
Hmm. So, do you know how old you were when you like really when you just started acting? Like not like the big stuff, but when you first
Yeah,
started?
yeah. Okay, if it's not the big stuff, like first commercial is 3 years old.
Okay, see, that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering how like so that must have been like, a lot of your parents kind of it wasn't you going to them saying I'm going to do this. They kind of thought you were right for it, I'm guessing.
So here's the info. My parents are filmmakers, and so it's never, I think it was, yeah, exactly, it was never a choice, and not saying that I don't like want to do it, but it just
You can stop now if you want, but he's not stopping, so he likes it. Don't call anyone on his parents
yeah,
thing.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But I think like when I talk about it, it's not like it's like a hobby or something I like. It's just a part of me. I was born around that, and I was raised on a set, so it's just always been normal and come naturally to me. And so yeah, and when my parents, did commercials when I was little and they needed a kid, I would do it, and I guess it was just I felt natural, acting with my parents directing. And when we moved to Los Angeles, uh, I just went in an agency and showed them kind of like the commercials I had done in Puerto Rico, and I started doing commercials here. And after doing a couple of commercials, then I did one day at a time, and then that's how everything happened.
I love that.
Could you see yourself like doing something other than acting that you're as much in love in as you are with it now?
Totally, totally, yeah. That's one of the things I like most about uh, just doing in general. I like being able to balance a
Hmm.
lot of different passions, and I think that's very common, and we're seeing that in our generation, uh, where it's not just one path, and it's also not just one thing that doesn't correlate with the other. I think when it comes to pastimes, like I was saying, business and the arts, it's something that I can study separately, but like collaborated fully, and that's what for sure I'm doing. I love business. I would love to start, a clothing company. And in the terms of the arts and acting, I'll for sure keep acting, but I want to keep developing eventually my own projects, produce, direct, all of that.
That's awesome. So we're gonna change gears a little bit here. So going into one day at a time. For everybody who's listening who doesn't who hasn't seen the show, can you give us a quick plot summary of it?
Yeah, it's about a Cuban American family. It's a sitcom comedy show, and you get a peek into the everyday life, always together, and can't stay apart. You can see the three generations, the 3 points of view of a grandma, a mother, and a daughter, and it's just an awesome relationship. And yeah, it's been really cool to see the arc of the show over the 4 seasons.
We both love the show, and we especially love how it's able to represent a lot of things that teenagers go through in real life that aren't really talked
Hmm.
about too much in the media. So, what do you hope slash think teens take away from the show, especially those who can relate to Alex and Elena?
Yeah, I hope that it that's when I see it from my perspective, that's one of the things I love about real shows that talk about real world problems and with the truth. Like for example, I don't know, shows that before it was like high school's not like that. High school kids don't act like that. And when we the shows that actually get successful now are the ones that show the high school experience, for example, in a real way. And that's something that I hope and I know that it happens, but it's beautiful to see when young teens can see themselves in these characters and can see the similarities and kind of just, through these teenage years and through all this stress, I hope that it can just, uh, teach them that they're not the only ones and they can, ease up.
And I love how it has that kind of like corny sitcom feel. Like at some points, there's some things that, like, wouldn't happen in real life because it's a sitcom. But then there's also like,
Yeah.
it's so true to real life. Like there's so many things in it that like so many people can relate to. I'm like, why am I sitting here relating to a 12-year-old boy? You know?
Yeah,
You get that kind of feeling from it.
yeah. No, I totally understand.
Hmm.
So I have a weird question. Have you ever watched the show?
Watch the show, yeah.
Like all the way through. Have you seen like, do you binge it when you're
I
bored?
love that question because no one's ever asked me that. 'Cause you'd think, yeah, it would be obvious for like a person to watch their own show, but at the same time, no. Like it's a good
You
question.
hear so many actors like, I can't watch myself. Like it ruins it.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, that was me in the first season. So honestly, it is kind of right in a way. Like it was mostly, with all of my family and everyone around me watching it, it was inevitable for me not to watch it. But yeah, at first it was hard to get used to the fact of seeing myself on TV and
Mhm.
yeah, I would always cringe. Like at the premiere and with my friends and my family, I was just like in my hoodie and not
Because
not
you're
watching
noticing
it.
all the things that no one else is gonna see, like, oh, why did I say that like that? Why did I turn
Yeah.
that way? Why did I? Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, I'm not the only like there's a couple actors that I know feel the same way. But yeah, at least I'd watch each episode once. This I'll be real with you though, this last season, the fourth season, I some episodes I think like I watched kind of like half of it, but it was mostly because when we were on Netflix, we would shoot and it would come out a year later. So everything was different already. I had grown like 2 inches, and so I looked totally different. But now when we were shooting this fourth season, it was coming out kind of while we were shooting, so it felt like I knew the episode and I had just shot it,
It's like I just
and
did
so
this.
I
Like I
didn't
just
have to
finished
see
this. I don't need to
it.
do it again. I gotta say,
Yeah.
when I started the fourth season, I loved the little crack at Netflix that you made in the beginning. Of
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah.
nothing good to watch on Netflix anymore. I was like, that's too good. Like,
Yeah, the cool thing about that is that with sitcoms and this show especially, we shoot in front of a live audience, and there's breaks in between to see how the audience is reacting, and we get notes from the writers on the spot. And so that was a line that wasn't there originally. I was saying just another line, like, "Oh, there's nothing to watch." And on the third take, they come up to me and they're like, "Hey, say this line." I'm like, "Oh," we all looked and I just like said it. And that happens a lot when we just get lines in between takes and we have to quickly like memorize it and just do it.
that's crazy though, because it seems like it was like set up like perfectly, but it would just like it just happened. Like, it was just
Yeah, yeah.
natural.
I mean, yeah, they have. I think that it's fun that the writers always have like backup lines that they can use, and sometimes it's fun after shooting an episode. They show us all like the backup lines, and they're all funny. You just can't pick between them.
Yeah. Do you ever get like a line that was like everyone was like, "Oh, this is gonna be so good," and the audience is like silent? It's like no one reacted.
Oh, not. I feel like
Like
happened
not
where
that bad, but
but it's happened for sure where it's like the opposite reaction of what you think. Like, I don't think mostly with laughing, but more like if I said something that I thought the audience was gonna take as funny, and they took it as like, oh, I was like, what? That's
you're
not.
like,
Oh, that's
"What?
funny.
Why aren't you laughing?"
They took it like seriously. I don't know what it was, but I remember something like that, where it was like me, um, coming in the door, uh, while they were talking about my character knowing that I did something wrong. And I guess I was trying to play it cool and do it in a funny way. And the audience took it like in a serious way. And I was like, no, that was sarcastic.
Aw. So, you were pretty much the youngest on the show. So, like Alex, you had a bunch of parental figures on set, I guess, like Justina Machado, Rina Moreno, and of course, your on-set sister, Isabella Gomez. I've heard that she kind of treats you like a little brother in real life too. Is that true? Can you agree with that?
I can agree with that if sisters hate their brothers.
Oh, Isabella, if you're listening to this, I think you guys
There-
gotta talk through some stuff.
we gotta talk out the beef. No,
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
exactly.
Uh, no, for sure. Yeah, we're a real family, and it's awesome that there's that vibe because you don't want to be acting with people you don't feel comfortable around. When there's like every other scene is us hugging each other, so it's
Oh,
like,
that's
come
the
on, it
worst.
has to feel real.
So, were you able to get any advice from them, whether, or not even, it could be like direct advice, or even just from watching them? Did you pick up anything about acting, or even just about living, like anything?
Sure, watching. I think that's one of the, especially when you're young and a lot of kids in any industry they want to work in. I think one of the coolest thing is just observing and watching from the outside, warming up, just observing, and you'll learn a lot. And that's for sure what I can take away from someone like Justina and how she acts and prepares and the little things that make her character be so authentic. So for sure, I think I learned a lot just from being in that environment.
That is really cool. So, switching to Breakthrough now, you starred as John Smith in this amazing movie about community, love, and faith, and it was actually based on a true story, and it was pretty close to the original. So, what was it like playing a real person instead of a fictional character?
It was um it's amazing because I think when I get that question now, I like me feeling now back then, looking back then, I would say now that I would feel like I had a lot of pressure, just feeling like there's a real kid and I'm playing him and he's just staring at me like acting as him and his story. I would say that I'd be super stressed and pressured, but in the moment, I guess I was so into it that never crossed my mind. And I think that's perfect because not only was the family really awesome and supportive, and we were able, to talk about their perspective and how they loved the portrayal of their story, but also, like you said, it was so close to the original that everything just fell into place naturally.
Can you give a
And
quick like
yeah,
overview of what happened to the actual John Smith, just for everyone who listening who doesn't know?
yeah, John Smith, I believe when he was 15 years old, he fell. He was playing with two other friends in a frozen lake, and they all fell through the lake. John Smith was under the water for 15 minutes while his other two friends made it out. And so yeah, he was in a coma for like a couple of weeks, and the fact that he made it out alive was a miracle because he was under the water for almost 20 minutes and without a pulse for an hour. So that was crazy.
It was definitely a very good movie. Um, have what did you have
Yeah, it
to
was
do?
intense.
Yeah. What did you have to? Did you have to do anything different to prepare for this role compared to any other role you've had?
uh well, I would say yes, but at the same time I could tell you that I wasn't prepared for everything that was thrown at me. I of course was prepared for the character and everything, but um it was long hours, very different to one day at a time. Even of course, in one day at a time, it's a lot of work, but it's a movie, and I loved having that experience of being able to work in a show versus being able to work in a movie. We shot in Canada and Winnipeg, and I think maybe that was one of the craziest obstacles, the weather, especially shooting all of these like stunt scenes and scenes outside in the cold with negative nine
Please
degree
tell me the
weather.
lake was like a soundstage though. Like, please.
Half when I was
Half.
in the frozen lake, I was laying down in real ice with like a t-shirt and water,
Wait,
and
so like when
it was
you guys
hard.
first fell in, that was like an actual lake?
So it was all real. Um, like it was all not in a soundstage until the water, because in the water we were shooting in this like 20-foot tank, which was still crazy because I was there shooting for like 10 hours without getting out of the water and just going up and down, up and down. uh so yeah, I felt like I had played in 3 football games after that day.
You didn't need to act like the like oh, I can't breathe.
Yeah, I literally couldn't breathe, so that just made it easier to act.
Yeah, so I mean, I watched this movie for the first time actually on a plane from Los Angeles. Because it's it was like a 6 hour flight, so I was like, let's just find a random movie. And by the time it ended, I was basically so just touched and so I don't even know. I basically went to the bathroom and cried for the rest of the flight, which I feel like isn't a unique reaction because everyone seems to love this movie. Everyone seems to be so emotionally touched by it. But I have to wonder, because when I was watching it, I mean, I just saw John Smith because I didn't know you as an actor at the
Mm,
time. But I want to know what it was like for your family and your friends to watch it because for them it's not like, oh my God, this poor boy fell in the ice. They're watching you, but they probably like
mm.
forgot it was you and we're seeing like what was it like for them
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
actually?
That's really interesting because it's true. Like people like, let's say my grandma or friends around me, they know it was me, but they kind of forget. Like they kind of forget it's me midway into the movie, because I think you just get so caught up in the story, and it feels there's a lot of suspense, and you just want to see, the family and John succeed. But totally, I feel like a lot of my family had that feeling too, where it was, they know obviously it's me, but they were still super nervous, and they were also worried, like, oh my God, Marcel went through all of that. So yeah, it looked very, very authentic. And my parents at least were there, so they were always, next to me. They saw how everything was being shot. um but still, even my mom sometimes, for example, there was this scene, I don't know if you remember, where I'm laying in a hospital bed and it's like a flashback scene, and then water just starts
I was actually
like
gonna ask
going
you about
in.
that scene because that's so cool.
So literally, it's as simple as it sounds. They put a literal bed
In a water
and
tank,
then
they're like, you're going down.
in a water tank. But the problem was that the bed, every time you would go, the bed kind of is like a life jacket, so it was floating, and so I wouldn't stick. So I would just start floating with the bed up, and we would have to do it again. So on the third try, what they did was put like weights, like pounds and pounds of weights all over my body, and then just put the blanket over that. And that's when my mom got nervous, because it's like, wait, if he needs to get
Is he
out,
gonna
he low
drown?
key.
I don't know what's gonna happen here.
So I kind of got nervous there, but I think it was just things like that, that my parents, of course, were comfortable if I was comfortable. But as a parent, that's just looking out for me.
So I bet watching that, your parents weren't like, oh my God, he's waking up or whatever. They're more like, so this is when we thought we were gonna lose him. For
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I still, the other day, I was like, I think washing, because my hair was dyed like a month ago, and I was like putting some color into it and washing it. And so yeah, my whole head was like wet, and I was super cold. And I go into the bathroom and start drying, and I just got like this weird flashback to breakthrough. Like, I still have PTSD.
it's like, oh my God,
Yeah,
like
I was so
I'm
scared.
sinking, I'm sinking.
I felt like I was on the lake.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
So, you must have had a lot of crazy opportunities that most teenagers will never have, like being like sinking in a bed in a 20-foot tank. Um, so what would you say are some of the craziest things that have happened to you, or like any cool onset stories like that?
Um, for sure. I mean, okay. So craziest things in general, I think, honestly, having the opportunity of being in so many. I feel like I've said this a couple of times, but it's just an awesome opportunity to be in so many different environments. Not to live in a bubble, and be able to see different perspectives of lives, different points of view, because you learn just so much from everywhere you go, and especially me, with my job, but also my parents just in general because they love traveling since I was a little kid. Traveling the world is one of the coolest things always. So things like that, yeah, meeting different people and being able to learn from each other, I think has been one of the coolest things. And yeah, and on set, I think because it's kind of like us with the pandemic, it's the new normal.
Hmm.
So I think I get used to it when I'm in, like let's say a premiere or in a red carpet, and it just feels normal. But yeah, when you look at it from the outside or another perspective, it's kind of crazy. Like I see myself as I've always known myself,
Hmm.
even if I'm in a show or not. So it's just kind of weird when I like it hits you and I'm like in a red carpet and right next to me is just David Dobrik hanging out and I'm washing my hands in the bathroom
Can I have
next
a
to these people
Tesla?
that I yeah, literally like that. So those things are cool. Being able to also like bring friends from school and just hang out at premieres like that with people that we think are super cool
That
and
sounds so
we end up
cool.
Yeah.
just being friends. That's like pretty cool.
It's like, hey Marcel, wanna like hang out? Oh yeah, yeah. I got the premiere though. Like we can go.
Yeah, literally.
Do your friends like watch like one day at a time, or did they watch Breakthrough?
Yeah, all my friends watch Breakthrough, and and yeah, one day at a time. Is because one day at a time is more like a family thing. So like
Hmm.
my friends would tell me, oh, my family like they'll sometimes put the episodes, and that's something really
Oh.
cool. But for Breakthrough, for sure, there was a lot of friends, and especially like a good friend of mine like texted me the other day that his dad just came home with like from Redbox and like rented Breakthrough. And he was like, "Hey, I got this movie. Want to watch it?" My friend was like, "Bro, that's my friend in that movie."
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're pretty. I mean, I don't know if this is lucky or unlucky. It depends on how you take it. But there are a lot of actors, like Disney actors, where their friends are like, oh, like I'll watch an episode to see you, but like it's like a kids show. I'm not really gonna watch it. But I feel like One Day at a Time and Breakthrough can both be watched by like teenagers. So you probably get a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah,
like
yeah.
in the hallways, like I recognize you. Like what do I know you from?
Yeah, that's the other thing where it's like, especially I think one day at a time in Breakthrough, it's kind of all ages. It's not like one niche or it's so there's such a range in
Your friends are
ages
always gonna be watching you. Just get used to it now.
that I have like friends telling me, but then I'll be walking school and then a teacher would ask for a picture.
It's like
Bro, I
if you
have
raise my
my
grade.
chemistry teacher gave me extra credit because I gave him my signature.
So this is how you got into Columbia, Marcel?
Yeah, this is how I got into
I'm
Colombia.
just kidding. Yeah. So a lot of people, specifically teenagers, are like, want to go into acting but don't know where to start or how to get where they want to be. And obviously, your story is definitely different than this since you've been doing it since you came out of the womb, basically. But what
Yeah.
advice would you give to them with getting started slash making sure they go in the right direction?
Yeah, I've had a couple of friends ask me that question, and I think one of the most important things it's I don't think putting it as pressure, but it's understanding. Yeah, there is a lot of competition, and I guess um, it's hard for me to give advice for someone else because I don't think I had that same experience. I didn't see it that way, but now I really realize it. And yeah, there is a lot of competition, but I feel like it's just be confident in your own skin, be confident with who you are, and yeah, you just have to stay positive because I've seen people that it's a type of industry or job in general in the arts that no matter what, even if it takes like a couple years, if you really like it and you keep going, eventually it's gonna happen. So it's just being staying persistent and working towards it in a consistent way.
That is very good advice.
A couple weeks ago, we spoke with a director who you can see that every job in the industry really has the same thing where it's like it's really competitive and it's really you just need to keep because it's not even really how talented you are, it's just finding the right project like that you're meant
Yeah,
for.
yeah, yeah,
It's not
yeah.
even like, oh,
Exactly.
I'm not good enough for this. It's just for some reason you weren't right for it. Maybe your hair was like the wrong shade, like you had blue eyes, like
Literally,
whatever, everything.
literally. Yeah, that's totally it. And that's the also the thing that's awesome, that that eventually the project that you're gonna do is gonna be the right project for you. It's always gonna match with you. So that's something that I think it's always super fun as like a push to keep going.
Did John Smith approve of you playing him?
Yeah, yeah, he did. I hope he was telling the truth because I
Yeah,
don't think
good.
like he'd pull up and say like, "Hey man, I don't approve."
Like, this is not me. I don't know.
But yeah, he approved. He was super nice. We hung out. He said he watched one day at a time,
Oh wow.
and we even played basketball together because you know, like in real life, he plays basketball. In the movie, I played basketball, and I mean, I love basketball. And yeah, we played basketball together and everything, so that was really fun.
I feel like that would freak me out being like I just spent the last like year playing you and now I'm like and I'm talking to you. That would totally freak me
Yeah,
out.
yeah, that's true. Especially after you, because it's like you're playing this character, but you're also everything you with this project. You're just hearing about this kid, you know, and his story and everything. So it's like almost as if you knew him. And yeah, he's like a celebrity to us because we've
Yeah.
heard so much about him.
And you're like putting yourself like you're really like embodying the character and then it's like, "Oh, you're the character. Hi."
Yeah, totally.
So, do you have any long-term or short-term goals that you're working on? And I know you mentioned that you wanted to start a clothing brand earlier, and I believe you have a merch store, right? Property of Marcel?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What are you talking about? You already have your clothing brand. You got
Yeah.
this.
uh yeah, that's super cool and I love it. And it's we did our first drop, and it's just really fun to make merch because it's like kind of a perfect training for like a future clothing brand or like designer brand and all of that. Um, but it's just fun for like the now and for a couple every couple months. It's a really cool project to work on. So I've been having fun with that, and yeah, I'm working on a drop for that for like the start of May of this next month, and then I'll just keep going. Maybe do one for my birthday, all of that. So yeah, I think that exactly that merch store is for sure like a really good learning experience for when I want to open another like clothing brand.
And I know that you also have a film account, which I know is on Instagram. I'm not sure if it's on any other platform, and it is 35M Marcel. So tell us about that.
You like
Yeah,
photography too.
I love photography. My dad's a photographer. Uh, yeah, director, photographer, and yeah, like 3 years ago. You guys know what Camp Flogna is?
Heard
I
of
don't
it.
think
You
so.
guys gotta know. What?
I probably do, but I just have such a bad memory.
It's no,
Enlighten us.
it doesn't matter with the with the story really though. You know Tyler the Creator.
Yeah.
It's like his music
Oh,
festival.
okay, yes, 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 I
Oh,
do.
okay.
And so I was there. I've been a couple of times, but 3 years ago was like the first time I was on my way there. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna bring a like a disposable film camera. I used to use this when I was little, and we'd go on trips. I was like,
Yes,
oh,
oh
this
my
might be
God.
fun. Yeah, right.
Field
Like
trips, they're always like, you can't bring your iPods, but you can bring a disposable camera. And we're like, what's a disposable
crazy.
camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like when I was little, my parents always had I remember we went to Disney and they had like a one that's like waterproof, so you could take ones under the water and all of that.
Mhm.
So I just got it and went, and they came out super cool. And it's funny because I there's like 20 something pictures in each roll, and I'm super picky and selective with how to use it.
My kind
So
is the same
I
way.
ended up
Yes,
I
I'm the
ended up
exact same way. I literally have one right over there.
Well, that first one took me a year and a half to finish, and then I developed it and I loved it. So, for my birthday, my mom got me like a like a real film camera that's not disposable and all that, and it's been super cool. I love taking pictures, and now that I opened that account, I can just post them there.
I got a disposable camera in the beginning of October, and I just got it developed a few weeks ago. And whenever I'm with Lily, I'm like, okay, I want to take a picture, but like, wait, I'm like, you need to be at, wait, no,
Yeah,
no, no.
yeah,
I'm like, I only have four more. Like, I'm not playing around.
It
And
was so
exactly.
funny.
we're like in the middle. You can
We
tell it.
went like we live near like a park, right? And there's like this like mini cliff thing, and it's got like a little lake with a bunch of like fallen trees across. So one day we were like, all right, let's go climb across these broken trees. And we did. And then we eventually just sat on them like across from each other. And then McKenna was like, take a picture of me. I was like,
I'm like, I need to get this developed. Like, I
it was so much pressure. I don't think you can understand. I was like,
because
this,
I'm like the viewfinder is higher than the lens, so if like you need to like bring it.
I
It
was
has
so
to come out right,
confused.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah, I
really
was like, all
specific.
right, so if I hold it here, is this gonna be, she's like, lower. And I'm like, is this okay? It was
It
so
was a
much
good
pressure.
picture. I will say you did a good job.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, that's
thank you.
awesome. Yeah, because there's no going back with things like that.
I
Mm-mm.
know my perfectionism. I'm like, this cannot turn out wrong. I don't have a second chance here.
And do you have also a film account?
No, I have a bunch of we have like I mean I have a bunch of disposables, but I just post them on my regular Instagram.
Oh yeah,
Not fancy enough. Also because I'm like really bad at getting them developed. I have ones from like 2016 that I'm like, what if I just try to get them developed and like see if it'll work? Because it says like expires. Like I don't know if it'll like still
yeah.
work.
It'll work. It will just have. It might even work like in a cooler way. It'll have like little scratches and like
Yeah, I know.
colors that it might look cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we'll try. But also like I brought it to sleepaway camp when I was 11, so I don't know what's on there and I'm really scared to
Oh
see.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
That'll be weird looking back into the past.
so we have a few questions sent in by fans, and the first one I want to start off with is somebody wanted to know if you would ever go to Brazil.
Yeah, totally. I can't believe I have never been.
Oh, really? I was gonna ask, like, I don't know if he's been there already. I feel like he travels a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. I've never been, but yeah, my mom and would love to go. So for sure, I for sure have to go visit and experience Brazil.
Also, do you have a favorite place that you've already been?
Um, I like 2 years ago I went to Greece, and that was really fun. That was amazing. So I feel like the craziest experiences I have had was probably like Greece, Tokyo,
That's
and South Africa.
something I was watching some of your YouTube videos just to get, ideas for questions and stuff. And they don't have sushi in Tokyo. Like you said that in one of your videos. Is that
I
like
was
real?
I mean they do, but
Like yeah,
like
but like not really
it's not as common as here where it's like, here every
Americanized. Yeah.
Japanese Japanese restaurant you go to, it's gonna be mostly sushi. That's what you usually find here in the United States. But when you go to Tokyo, it was mostly you would find it, but it was more just Japanese food like rice and shrimp and yeah, that was more like a special occasion thing over there. That's what I felt.
Mhm.
That they would eat it on special occasions. It was more fancy.
And another question sent in by a fan was, what is your favorite part of acting?
My favorite part of acting, hmm, I would say that it's probably um, it's weird because I feel like it's probably like playing a different version of myself because it's always like half and half. I don't think I'm playing totally not me, but it's also totally not me. So it's like it's kind of like a different version of myself, and that's cool to see those different possibilities.
Hmm.
And I have one more question that I thought of earlier, and I just really wanted the answer to this one. When you were talking about acting on a TV show versus,
Mhm.
versus One Day at a Time versus Breakthrough, what was like,
The major
what was,
differences.
yeah, I don't want to say you're necessarily your favorite because I assume that you
Mhm.
can't really pick one or the other, but you know,
Mhm.
what was like the most like interesting thing, I guess, about each of them?
Yeah, I feel like the thing with the movie, it's doesn't take as long because season of One Day at a Time will take us like maybe 5 months, and the movie would take like 2 months. So the movie for sure feels more like a if I would put it into high school terms, I would say the movie is kind of like a project, and the series is like a course. So the series is like taking the whole class, taking the whole job, and the movie's just working on a project, which is cool to see those two perspectives because For example, of course, that's why One Day at a Time we're so close. You're going every day there for a couple months. You're around these people for a long time. It's for sure family. And in the movie, it's cool to see all these people collaborating to create this project and get it out there. And like 2 months later, you see that you were able to do it, and it's just you feel very proud.
Because also with TV shows, it's usually like, like you have your crew, but then you have like, guest directors come on, like guest writers, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's totally just like an ongoing thing with like little changes every once in a while. Movies
yeah,
like the one thing that
exactly.
you're working on, yeah. So the course
We-
versus the project.
Yeah,
Nice analogy.
yeah.
Great. So for everyone who's listening to this and wants to follow you on social media, where can they do that?
So there's a lot of options. It's Marcel Ruiz on Instagram, the Marcel Ruiz on Twitter. I guess I have to start using this more, but Marcel.Ruiz on TikTok.
Mhm.
And it's Marcel Ruiz too on YouTube.
You catch all that, everyone? You gotta write those down.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's all different, totally different
Oh, I have the exact
vibes
same
in each
thing.
one.
Everyone will be like, okay, follow me at like, at this, at first name, last name everywhere. I'm like, okay, here we go. I made my Snapchat in fourth grade, so here it is. Like, all that.
Yeah, our socials are kind of the same way because if you enjoyed this episode and you want to hear more, make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok, which are acoim.podcast, and our Twitter is weird, which is acoim_podcast.
Because they
And
don't
there you
allow dots on Twitter.
yeah, Twitter, I have beef with Twitter. I don't really like it right now. But anyways, follow us there where you can get all our updates and you can be the first to hear about other fun guests we have.
Mhm. And thanks so much for coming on, Marcel. I know I've said it a million times, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
Been a
Thank you. It
great
was
time.
really cool to come on.
Yeah, thank you. This was amazing. And thank you to everybody else for tuning in. And we will see you next week on A Coming of Age Movie.